Hello wonderful people. Last time in my previous video we discussed about things that can damage or destroy your marriage, part 1. So today we are going to discuss the part 2 of things that can damage or destroy your marriage or relationship. One of the things that can damage or destroy your relationship is bitterness and lack of forgiveness. That is unforgiveness. How does bitterness and unforgiveness damage your marriage? Now listen attentively. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, please click on the like button, comment and share for more authentic updates. So now let's go ahead and discuss how bitterness and unforgiveness can damage your marriage. According to studies, bitterness is a spiritual poison. How is it a spiritual poison? Bitterness accumulates. When bitterness accumulates, it leads to unforgiveness. And according to studies, those that cannot forgive are liable to experience anger, stress, depression. You know that when you are experiencing all this, whenever you are experiencing all this, it will affect your marriage, your partner, the children, the entire family will be affected. So if not properly handled, if issues that will lead to bitterness and forgiveness are not properly handled, you find out that these three or four things I just mentioned now, you are going to experience it. And when you experience it, the family will be in the family peace will be at stake. So if you are having problem or issues with your partner, the best way to handle it is to discuss about the issue. Discuss it extensively and trash it out. Once it is being discussed, trash it. Don't have it in your mind. Don't pile it up in your mind. Don't pile it up in your mind. So number 2 is sexual immorality. Yes, sexual immorality begins in the thought level. When you start having that thought that my partner cannot do well, my partner doesn't know how to do doggy style, my partner doesn't know this monkey style, my partner doesn't know this one, that is when you start having the thought of going outside to test Mr. A or Mrs. B. That is when you start making friends with those that are worldly. That is when you start making friends to know how they are, how they are making out with their partners. Instead of you to correct your spouse in love and harmony. Number 3 of the things that can damage your marriage or relationship: anger. Anger and abusive speech. These two things goes together. Anger, when not properly handled, can lead to abusive speech. Yes, it's when you are angry. If you cannot control your anger, that is where you start voicing out what you will not like. So anger goes with abusive speech or abusive language. But when you are able to control your anger, you find out that you are going to overcome abusive language or speech. So anger is a normal thing. Anger is a way of expressing your feeling, expressing the way you felt about something, expressing the way you felt about something that was not done right. It's a normal thing for someone to become angry, but it is abnormal when it leads to physical or emotional trauma or emotional abuse. So anger, when not properly handled, can lead to anxiety. It can also lead to pain, migraine, headache, There are different ways partners express anger. Some express it through slamming of doors, screaming, shouting, name it. When we are shouting, what about the veins that are connected to your head down to there? So you find out that anger is connected to abusive words. When you are not able to control your anger, you start using abusive and manipulative words. That is by the way. Number 4 is poor communication. Poor communication can destroy or damage your marriage. How? Remember that we have different types of communication. We have verbal communication, we have body language, in terms of eye contact, touching, So those things are what you need to keep your marriage warm. There are some people, when they are with their partner, they only concentrate on their phones. When their partner is talking to them, they will only concentrate on their phones and only say they are listening. Do you know that eye contact is a form of communication? Another thing about communication is this. When you don't communicate something that you are feeling that is wrong, when you're not communicating with your partner properly, it affects the marriage. For example, I haven't paid my daughter's school fees. Maybe my husband gave me the money and I spent it on something very, very important. Down the line, instead of me to communicate to my husband that I used the money for school fees, the money he gave me for my daughter's school fees for another thing, I will keep quiet, believing that the man will find out by himself. How will he find out? It's only when you communicate to him, we know that, yes, you use this money for so and so thing. Or you need something that's very, very important to you. You are imagining that your husband my husband or my wife should know that this thing, I need it. Meanwhile, you haven't communicated it to him. How would he know? How would she know, find out that this is what you need? There are some things that we need to communicate to our spouse. There are some things that we don't need to communicate to our spouse. The least, but not the last of the things that can destroy or damage your relationship is worldliness. Yes, I know you might be thinking, what is worldliness doing here? What is worldliness got to do with things that damage or destroys marriage? It is very simple. Do you know that worldliness turns priority upside down by making pleasure more important than purpose and temporary more important than permanent? What do I mean? It is simply that worldliness can turn things upside down. It can make something that is more important to you become less important. Yes, when the pleasure of the world is more important than the purpose of your marriage, it can harm or destroy your marriage.